p.m., so I'm going to call this meeting to order. 7 p.m., August 20th, 24. I'm going to call the meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners to order. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise their hand, the hand icon, until the chair asks them to unmute. Note, this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge such at this time. Mr. Michael Roush. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can also do so by calling the following conference line: 1-929-205-6099. Zoom meeting ID is 884-3036-4341. Password is sewer in all caps. Okay. Is there anybody here for public comment? Are we doing that this evening? What? Is anyone here for public comment this evening? For non-agenda items? I don't see anyone. All right. Moving on. All items within this meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes by the sewer commissioners. All right. Moment of silence to recognize our troops and our public safety personnel. Okay, salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh. All right. I do not have the mission and vision in front of me. Do you mind?
It's on the back of the agenda.
I'll read it.
Is it on the back? You are the boss.
I'll read the vision.
Okay.
Bourne is a proud community that embraces change while respecting the rich heritage of the town and its villages. It is a municipality based on strong fiscal government with a durable economy that recognizes the rights of all citizens, respects the environment, especially the coastal areas of the community, and the amenities that it affords. Bourne embraces excellent education and offers to citizens a healthy, active lifestyle.
Thank you, MJ. Mission?
I think Jean's going to.
Mission? Peter?
Okay.
I can read it.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yes, we can, very well.
Bourne, great. Bourne will maximize opportunities for social and economic development while retaining an attractive, sustainable, and secure coastline and environment for the enjoyment of residents and visitors. Through responsible and professional leadership and in partnership with others, Bourne will strive to improve the quality of life for all residents living and working in the larger community.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. So, yep, public comment. I asked that too soon. Sorry about that. We all know no one is here for public comment. Okay, so number 5, we have sewer abatement request for 25 Buttermilk Way. Do you want me to give this to you, Matt, or do you want me to go through the memo?
I'm happy to. Was there a representative?
I do not see anyone online. Is there any representative here from 25 Buttermilk Way? Oh, we do. Okay, excellent.
That's why I wasn't sure.
Would you like to hear from them first, or?
I can review what the information we have, but I just wanted to.
Perfect.
So we did receive an abatement for water usage at 25 Buttermilk Way. In 2023, they used 60,000 gallons, which is much more than they typically use. So they had to pay a 15,000 gallon overage fee over the normal 45,000. They had a water leak in their outdoor shower in the beginning of 2023. The water district and also a plumber estimated that water usage between 29 and 40,000 gallons. So their overage was 15,000. If the board was to entertain abating it, it would abate the entire overage charge for their bill.
Which would have been the 260, 250, correct?
Yes, we cannot abate demand charges or interest, so that would stay on the bill, but we can abate the overage usage.
Okay. So, any discussion on this, or any thoughts? Go ahead, MJ.
We've had these situations before where there's a leakage outside the building, either a water bubbler or a shower. We know it didn't go in the sewer because it was outside the building. So I would think it's a reasonable request, and I would move that we approve the abatement of $262.50.
All right, so that's your motion?
That's my motion.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a second. Any further discussion? Jean, anything? No?
Would you like to say something?
Would you like to come up to the mic if you'd like? I mean, it's not, we don't,
Yeah.
you don't have to. It's pretty clear, and Matt's been wonderful with the memo, so it's no pressure. Okay, thank you, though. Thank you for coming in, though. We appreciate your presence. Okay, so,
We have to do a roll.
Roll call.
yes, so we're gonna do first, so we have a second. MJ made a motion, Peter seconded, and I'm gonna go around roll call vote. Jean?
Yes.
MJ?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melissa, yes. All right, 4, 1, just 1 absent. All right, moving on. Let me get past that. Okay, so we have quite a list. Thank you again, Matt, for being so thorough. This was extremely helpful for me to prepare for the meeting, so I knew what I was talking about.
Maria acquired all those letters.
Oh, well, thank you, Maria. That was awesome. So we have our sewer allocation project updates. So I don't know how you'd like to go through these. Would you like me to do them? I'd be happy to run through them, or do you want to do a quick update that you're?
I wasn't sure what the process was. This was the
Yeah, I
first
mean,
time I've
MJ,
gone
I'm
over
just,
these, so I
I'm
don't-
fairly new to the sewer chair, so I'd be happy to kind of go through them very quickly, or read them all. What's your suggestion?
I mean, usually we just
Just let them read them in the
This
packet?
is the first time we've ever had them as written reports.
Sure.
So oftentimes people have come in, and I actually think the written report is better.
Yeah, I like it.
I think our spreadsheet shows that we had updates from most of the projects that are, haven't started construction.
Yes.
So we didn't get an update on 227 Rear Main Street, but that's in construction, so maybe we don't do that anymore.
They're right.
Didn't
You
have the
can,
construction site.
yeah.
Yeah. Even though we did get a construction progress update from 140 Main Street, so.
So why don't I run through just for our people
The one
at
thing I do
home?
want to note before we do that is that we did get an update from Bay Motor, and Matt said that
Yes.
it came in after he did the
It's-
spreadsheet.
yes, in my
so,
packet.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. All right. So why don't I do this? Why don't I just go through and tell who sent the
Sounds good.
Sent them in. So we have one here, one letter. It's written on behalf of Maritime Holdings LLC regarding a project located on 4.26 acres of land comprising of 5 parcels within the town of Bourne. And where's my address here? I'm sorry. I don't see it on this one, Matt.
12
12
Wagner Way.
Wagner.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Where is that again?
12 Wagner Way.
12 Wagner Way, thank you. This is just an update. They talked about the facility is designed for the flow capacity of 17,715 gallons per day. This is another request, wait a minute here. Requesting the retention of the sewer allocation that was previously granted for this project. Is this wrong in my list here? Am I going through this right, Matt?
Yeah,
No, they're
so-
just requesting to keep the allocation.
yeah, so
All right,
this is a
this is-
6-month update, so we just
Okay.
asked that they touch base with us after 6 months.
So
to
they're
say-
asking for a request to keep the allocation.
Right.
That one's great, okay, and they did leave us a schematic. Now, does the public at home have these requests? Are these part of the?
This is online as well.
So
It's
they
a
can
public
see it,
packet.
okay, great. So we also received an update on 328 Main Street, as well as 340 and 340 Main Street. We have an update on 2 Kendall Ray Place, which are all online for public viewing if you need to look them up. 2 Kendall Ray Place once again. Okay. And we have another here, let's see. This one is for 140 Main Street demolition has been completed. Sewer, water, electrical, and gas have been disconnected. They're in the process of finishing the project and retaining bids to start. We have a project update for 370 Scenic Highway. All of these seem in order, correct, Matt, for now?
Yes.
You're pretty satisfied with the updates?
Yes.
And Lad Homes, another one, says that they're just waiting on Eversource and Verizon. That one doesn't have an address on it either.
That would be 46 Holt Road.
46 Holt, thank you, I thought so. And then another letter here from 328 Main Street, talking about how they filed with the Design Review Commission. They did file a permit site plan review, and once the planning board permit is approved, they anticipate filing with Concom with the notice of intent to work in the flood zone. Another 328 Main Street, 7 residential units, also in your home packet. 223 Main Street. Bracken Engineering sent us an update on that. And then we are at the rehabilitation of Hideaway Village. That's quite a bit of review updates, and I don't know, Matt, do you have any specifically you'd like to speak on, or any concerns or questions on any that?
There was one parcel we didn't receive. There was 2 parcels we didn't receive updates on. One of them was 85 to 93 Main Street, but that owner was recently in. We had a discussion with him.
We did have them in February, so.
So he didn't give, but I didn't, that didn't seem out of line. There was another one for the 100 block. We didn't receive an update from that parcel. The last update we received is 223, or 222. I was gonna reach out to that owner personally and see if he wants to, if they would like to submit an update for the next meeting.
Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
I actually think we should have an agenda item at our next meeting to discuss rescinding that allocation.
Okay.
We are up against, we only have available 1,624. And I think we should ask Mr. McKenzie and Noreen to come in to talk to us about the 26,080 gallons. So this allocation goes back to 2015. It was the last allocation that was given prior to our policy when we had people actually pay for the allocation. So the allocation's never been paid for. It was granted by the sewer commissioners as the last 26,000 gallons we had before the moratorium. So I think we should have them come in and talk to us. And, I mean, it's been 9 years.
But also,
Gotcha.
by taking,
26,080, yes, I see it.
by taking away his allocation like that, but, and I know it's been 9 years, but you're devaluing the value of the property.
This is why we have an agenda item to discuss it with him. We're not just doing it now.
Oh,
We're
I know.
asking for an agenda item
I know,
to
but-
discuss it. I think we should have a discussion about it, because we have no other allocation.
I know.
We're like, we're done.
And while I'm looking at Keystone, if there's any way, any wiggle room, we can get 1,000 or 2,000 back, because they're at 14,000, and they use in 2022 10,797. So I don't know if before that, if they were at the 14,000 max. So
No, we had already reduced them.
I know, but I'm just looking for other ways that we can nickel and dime and get a little bit.
There will be things that come as we review actual to free up.
Yep.
But I think we should have a discussion. I think we've had a policy that you have 2 years. I mean, and there isn't really a plan. There isn't a project. So I think we should have them come in.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have them before us, but.
But I think it would be nice if you reached out, yes, and said, we didn't get an update, the board would like an update, because we're bumping up against our allocation.
But let's say for a perfect world, he pulls a building permit tomorrow as an example for this, and, he has plans in place. now all of us, to start construction with this, now all of a sudden that opens up another can of worms where we're down to be a minimum. We gotta somehow we gotta increase the allocation or find a way to do it, because if it means increasing the power, the treatment plant behind the police station, if we can expand off of that, or talking to Wareham, I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to deal with the need for more allocation, period. And so I think, so we gotta see where that's gonna come from too.
And we also, I think, have to look at what's developable, what has allocation, what's developable.
Yeah.
Doesn't have allocation.
Yeah.
What do we have for vacant lots now? Because we did take the St. Margaret's, the 21 St. Margaret's, which is that's a $21,000 gallon allocation. So I think it's a discussion.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good discussion to have, because under the current policy, the allocation at the 100 block couldn't be allocated because there's no project.
There's no project, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like when 21 St. Margaret's came in, they said, this is our plan, this is what we're doing. There's been nothing at the planning board for this 100 block project, and that's a requirement too. So none of those were in place
When he started.
So I think it's a discussion we need to have.
Okay.
I do think, though, that the 8593, it doesn't show that we had a 224 update, which we did.
Yeah,
It says the last update was 421, which is that, and we had another one in between there too,
Okay.
so we've had a couple of the Bay Motor Inn should say A24 update.
Yeah, these were good. They were very helpful.
The other thing I want to talk about on this, if I may, Madam Chair, is where it says awaiting actual use, that's actually operational allocation awaiting actual use, right? So an operational allocation is at the time of the building permit, right?
Yes.
And so you have an operational allocation awaiting actual use category, and then you have an operational allocation that's been reviewed for actual, with final, actual.
Yes.
Which are those two, Hampton Inn and Keystone?
Yes.
Which we could maybe evaluate them in the future, but we still left quite a bit of excess allocation for Hampton Inn, because you have that peak.
Yeah.
You have that peak thing, and we could look at Keystone maybe and say, what's their peak? Are they running a peak seasonal thing? They're not really seasonal, so they might be pretty steady, and you might be able to get a couple thousand gallons by looking at it. So maybe we should review that one again too.
And then Calamar is, I'm trying to think when.
Yeah, so we need to put in the comment section when the operational allocation will be reviewed, the 3 years from occupancy.
Yeah.
So we have the occupancy permit date,
Yep,
so wouldn't it be 3 years from that
yeah,
date?
so, but I want it written down.
You want it written down? Okay, all right, okay.
So 11425 for Domino's, Calamar, 428,
Okay.
26, right?
Yeah, 26.
Even though they got their occupancy permit, but they weren't really operational till maybe
Late summer.
fully till 10. So we might have to make that kind of a 10, 28, 26 for Calamar, just because even though they got their occupancy permit,
Are
they didn't have anyone move in till August, I don't think, and then it was between August and September.
Are they at full capacity now?
I think they're pretty full.
I wouldn't want to say yes, but I agree, I think they are.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's signs out front, so I noticed that there's a bunch of signs that they're now leasing. So that must mean they have units available if they put signs out.
Unless they're putting a waiting list to get it, but they
It
should
could be
disclose
in case
that.
people move out, right? Yeah, I just noticed there's signs today and recently.
I think they've always had them.
I don't
that
know. I
new?
didn't see them all out there before, but they look really new to me. I mean, within the last week or two.
I can reach out to their management,
Okay,
just see.
sounds good. I'm not sure what to do with the James McLaughlin, 227 Main.
I think you're here, I mean, I think he's just, oh, the one next door.
Well, you know, because it says policy no longer applies as there are 4 residential units or less.
Yeah.
How many is in the, how many is in the 227R, the rear? How many units is that?
2 garages out back, and we look out the window and see.
It's way more gallonage because it's 550 instead of 79. So it must be bigger, because it's 550 gallons, and the 500 is when you start, over 500 is when you apply, the policy applies, so. But for this, it's almost like it belongs in residential, in the residential reserve, but somehow we just should track that we got the money that we did.
All right.
It's not that much of a difference.
I
But
was
thank
just
you, this
curious to
was
see
good.
too.
This is,
I like the bigger sheet.
I like the big one, I can actually read it, yeah.
I mean, the other one works, but this is helpful when we're doing the meetings. Yeah, thank you for that. All right, any further discussion on
No.
the project updates? Again, for the people at home, all of the letters and the updates are on the public packet if you would like to read them and check the updates yourself. All right, moving on. Hideaway Village Low Pressure System Upgrade Project. We have in front of us notice rehabilitation of the Hideaway Village grinder pump and stations project. We have a preliminary opinion of probable construction cost, and it's been updated end of July, and I'm assuming I'm gonna ship this over to Matt to talk about, and then I think we can go into discussion about it, maybe.
So this was a project that was started before I was here. I did include a timeline in the supplemental packet. It was brought to my attention that people in the public may not know exactly what the history from this was, and I have the history up till I started. There may be history before me. But so this was an ARPA project that, I don't know if MJ, you could tell me when it was just approved by ARPA or sent to that.
I might have that right here.
I don't know, it went out to RFP twice.
Okay.
So the RFP that we're looking at now, was that 2023?
Yeah, so the most
it's
recent-
2022.
Okay.
So first went out for RFP in 2022, and
Okay.
then there was a set, we had to fix the RFP and, or, you know, make it more understandable to the bidders, and so then it's been a while, but yeah.
So the request for proposal went out in September of 2023. A contract was signed with Beta Engineering for $152,800. This was to design 9 duplex pumping stations ranging from 2 horsepower to 5 horsepower at Hideaway Village. Each pump station would include updated control wires, alarm panels, and new pumps. The pumps in total serve 173 parcels in originally, the project was thought to be less money than it is. The current estimate for the project is $1,107,000. We currently have $378,991 in ARPA money that's been unearmarked or earmarked for this project. When we looked at 3 of the pump stations service the most residents in Hideaway Village. So our initial thought was to best utilize the ARPA funds. If we upgraded those 3 pump stations, it would be we would get the most value for our dollar while also upgrading the pump stations. The control panels aren't necessarily in the same location as the pumps, the pump pits. So new conduit has to be run to run new electrical control wires, which is a lot of the cost that we're seeing in the increased costs. There are also some pumps that are actually located on the beach, which when we originally thought we weren't going to have to trench the conduit, there wouldn't be any permitting, but there may be additional permitting costs if we decide to do the whole project and work on those pumps on the beach. Those pumps on the beach serve less residents than the other pumps that are away that wouldn't require the environmental permitting. So that's
Which pump stations are those?
pump stations 9, 6, and I know 6 is on the beach. And 8 and 7.
6, 7, 8, and 9, all
Yeah.
those, yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So we wanted to, this is where we're at with the project. We're at about 30% design. We're probably a little farther than that. The plans and specs we have in front of you are at 30% design. There was an updated map. It was brought to my attention by MJ that the numbers they were using for their flows were high, and they hadn't updated their figures yet. It was based on the original pumps from the 90s, the original pump designs from the 90s. So they did send me the updated numbers, which were in your packet today. These are design numbers. I know that our allocation is much lower and they use much less flow than that, but these are the design numbers they're currently going with. So I kind of was hoping that we could get some thoughts on the direction you wanted us to head to continue with this project. I know it was brought to my attention when I started that the thought was there would be extra money left over and we would go look at other low-pressure systems within the town. So in the updated paper I gave you today, we have 186 parcels through the rest of the system that are individual grinder pumps. These aren't duplex grinder pumps. These are the individual pumps in Taylor's Point and the neighborhoods behind the town hall. We've upgraded about 60 of those pumps up at this time. We haven't upgraded the control panels. That's one of the, I'm sure this conversation's come up before, but it's direct burial wires. So in order to really make them safe, we have to run conduit and new wires from the pumps to the control panels. So of our 186 plus or minus pumps, we've only fully upgraded 10 of them or less.
And some of them were new construction that they did it then.
Yes. Anytime we can catch someone doing new construction to put the conduit in,
Yeah.
they usually are more than welcome to put the conduit in and we can run the new lights. So right now, based on our costs, to upgrade a pump for an individual grinder pump is between $7,500 and $9,500. And the reason for the discrepancy between each pump is it's how long of an electrical
Yeah.
conduit we have to run, excavation. Anything we would do would require prevailing wage, so it's going to cost more money also.
Yeah.
So that's,
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, I was just
What's the
gonna-
difference between a duplex pump system and an individual pump system?
duplexes has 2 pumps in it and they alternate. One turns on, one turns off. There's a backup pump in the duplex system.
There are some two families out in Taylor's Point in higher. You know, the Clark Family Trust, which is coming off when they tear it down, it's like 7 apartments.
So,
Can I ask a follow-up? Because
Yeah, please, go ahead.
if the duplex pumping stations, are there two horsepowers and 2 5 horsepowers?
Yes, they alternate back and forth.
power.
And, okay,
But they're also feeding, 56 homes.
yes.
So I have a question. I have a question. So it says per hatch, stations 1 through 5, and then, but it says OPCC to complete 3 pump stations. So we're recommending here, just so I'm clear too, to replace pump stations 1, 2, and 3
Yes,
to meet this number.
correct.
Okay. I got you. All right. Just wanted to make sure I was reading that, because it says up top 1 to 5, and it gives the number of 50,000. So, but that's where we're getting this 117. Okay. That was my only sort of thought.
What I would also recommend, if this is the route we decide to go, we would add pump stations 4 and 5 as add alternatives. So if the prices came in lower, we would have a design for those and we could move forward. We would allow us to get as much as we could out of the project.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Any further questions, comments?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yes. I think this is way over-designed for the actual usage. And especially when you look at the usage, and the only thing that I have to track is the capacity management study that was done in 2020. And so at Hideaway Village in 2018, which is before COVID, but it's 2018, and it's been pretty consistent. In their peak summer months, the usage was 500,000 gallons, which is 16,000 gallons a day. The peak usage in the off is 250,000, and that's 8,000 gallons per day. So if our peak, when you add up, and that's the total usage of all the pump stations. If you add 48,000 to 25,000 to 56,000 to 20,000 to 14,000, like, that's the capacity of almost our entire sewer system. And I just think, what is the capacity of a duplex 1 horsepower? Like, so it's 2 horsepowers running back and forth. What's that capacity per?
I can have them run. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I don't have, but we can.
I have a follow-up question to your question.
Yeah.
So is the number that we're talking about and that's allocated, and that I agree it's probably over, but is that based on the amount of units that are in Hideaway Village that could possibly be, even at a peak time? Okay, peak is peak when they have it over the past 5 years, but say that they get a boom over there and is that based on full capacity of the people who are staying in those condo units and the cottages, or is that based on 20% of it being empty in the summer at the peak? So that's
In
what
the
I'm
winter.
wondering.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Could it be because they're just not all occupied?
The design is based on an engineering assumption of 2 people per bedroom on a max day. And they use a figure of I wanted to say they told me between 4.2 and 4.4 as an engineering standard for that.
Right.
4.2 and 4.4 what?
Yep. A multiplier. So you take your Title V and you multiply it by 4.1, between 4.1 and 4.2. And that's where they come up with that figure.
Isn't Title V like 110 gallons per bedroom?
Yep.
So 2 bedrooms is 220 gallons.
Yep.
But you still can only, well, never mind, it doesn't apply.
So we can take a harder look at reducing the size of the pumps.
I mean, if it has to be, I mean, and this happens in the discussion with the CWMP too. They say, you have your average day flow, and then you have your peak day flow. But they're not calculating peak day flow for our sewer system at 4 times the average flow. They're covering it that it's like a 20% increase. And so if they were taking a 20% increase over the design, and this design isn't even what's actually happening, it's over what's happening. So you're not taking the actual, you're taking a design figure, which we know is like twice what the actual is usually, and then you're multiplying it by 4. I understand they don't want to have an overflow, and they want to make sure it's pumping, and so they design it for that, but.
Okay.
We can definitely go back and take a hard look at the design and make sure that we're not over-designing these pumps.
And these peak numbers still don't make any sense, because at Pump Station 1, 11,000, the peak is 48,000. Oh, I guess Pump Station 3, I thought they said Pump Station 1 was the highest usage. And they said Pump Station 3, there's a bunch of things.
Pump Station 4 pumps into Pump Station 3, so it doubles its pumping capacity. Or that pump has to take all of the flow from Pump Station 3 plus Pump Station 4. So Pump Station 4 pumps up gravity and then dumps into the Pump 3 system, and then Pump 3.
Is that the 5
pumps up-
horsepower system?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that's what we have in there now.
Yes.
Do we know when the last time these were? Because I know that they were doing grinder, replace grinder pumps in Hideaway Village?
We have some of the numbers between, pump station 1 was replaced in 2021. 2015, pump 6, all of the pumps have been replaced between 2015 and 2021. But they've only done pump replacement, there hasn't been any,
Of the other stuff?
correct, no wiring, no control panels or anything else.
Do we have our standardized pump now? What kind of pumps are these?
Right now we're using E1 grinder pumps in the residential units. We're using Wayho and Taylor's Point were Liberty pumps. So we don't have a standard, we're using E1 in all of our residential units.
Is that okay if I ask another question? One of the things that we talked about when we were doing this whole thing is that we wanted to get a standardized pump, and we had started to do that in capital at the end to say, you know, this is the pump we're gonna use, and it's gonna be not a pump, it's like a total package pump. It's not like we just switch out parts in a pump. It's not a piecemeal thing. To get a standardized thing, and there's two parts of it: is the standardized pump and then the standardized electrical panel. And that electrical panel is kind of an issue, especially at Taylor's Point. So an E1 is not a centrifugal pump, I found out. The very special, like high-level pump. They're very good pumps. What's the Liberty pump? Is it a centrifugal pump?
It's similar, it's still a grinder pump. I know there's operational differences in the centrifugal, but it's still a grinder pump. This project won't change. This will be a totally different design than anything we do in a residential unit. Because these panels will be built differently, these duplex pumps, these systems will run differently. That would be a different standardization. This will be a closer project resembling Wayho and Taylor's Point.
Wow.
With a specialized control panel, alarming package, which is what's there now. It's not the same control panels and alarm panels we have in the individual residents.
Has there been any discussion with Hideaway about this?
We've been working with we haven't been to their meetings yet. We've been working with their maintenance people, getting information in there. One of the next steps is to go before them with our plan
And the reason that I ask that is that when we reduced the allocation from Hideaway from 60,000 down to, I don't know, whatever we did, 30 or 40,000, we took that allocation, we gave it actually to, I think, Hampton Inn. Shortly after that, we had made an agreement with Hideaway Village that we would provide them with $30,000 a year for upgrading their infrastructure, because I am in the agreement, the original paperwork of the agreement on this, they're supposed to maintain their infrastructure, where the sewer, it's all on their land and they're supposed to do it. So when the 5-year renewal for that agreement of us providing $30,000 a year for them to do their grinder pumps and maintenance came up for renewal, the sewer commissioners voted not to renew that contract. So instead of $30,000 a year, and one of the reasons for that is that Hideaway Village provides about $30,000, 30% of the income for the sewer base user fees, because there's like 200, it's like 200 units, right? So, and they are the lowest, using like 8,000 gallons a day out of out of 300,000 gallons a day, they're using like 8,000, and they're paying 30% of the fees. So, I do think if the Hideaway project is going to be $1 million, that we have to have some discussion with them about who pays what. And I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It's not, this is the project is much more expensive than we thought. I personally did not have an understanding that Hideaway Village wasn't set up as individual grinder pumps. I thought it was the same as Taylor's Point, which was sort of prompted my initial questions when I got this, like, what is this going on here? So it's very different. It's really different. And do we know if we were to look at which pump stations, if pump station 1 was just done in 2021, right? I mean, is that the most important one to replace? Are we replacing the grinder pump that was just put in 3 years ago? Does it need to be replaced?
But we're also upgrading the
They're
entire
upgrading,
station.
right?
Right.
And I understand what,
And I mean, and that's that kind of like, what's the order of operation here? If there's one that's 2015 and is almost 10 years old, and your replacement is 10 years, is that the one we should? Is the criteria? What criteria are we using to do it? And I don't want to replace ones that are new and then find out that the ones that we didn't replace could fail.
there's also construction questions that come up of working on the beach, and that's adding expenses to a pump that may only be serving 2 or 4 parcels.
Yeah, those, the numbers for the beach, 6, 7, 8, 9 are very small. I know those operating on that same, like duplex pump, two horsepower pump system, I mean, that,
They're smaller systems, smaller tanks and smaller
They're
electrical.
small
equipment.
units. I've sold several out there. They're tiny. They're loft, teeny one rooms. They're not very big units at all. Most of them, anyhow.
so, I mean, maybe those are the stations that if we were gonna do them would be 2 1 horsepower, because it seems like that, you'd be getting 2 horsepower, which is more than enough, it would seem, for the gallons per day. I don't know, I have to think, because
All right,
I have
so
to go back.
okay.
I don't know.
Anything else? I don't know. What's I know that Matt was sort of hoping for some direction, I think, from us this evening, and
We got a lot of questions, so if you want us to come back,
yeah, we could do put it on the agenda for another night to give MJ time and everyone else time to process and think.
I would
Do you
like,
have anything to add? I don't want to forget you up there in the Zoom land. Okay, just checking. I forget to look up there sometimes.
I feel that we need to talk to Hideaway about this. Because if we're putting in equipment, I mean, it probably needs to be fixed, and we probably need to do the pump stations and get them correct. We may have to say to them, you know, we'll do these 3, but you're on your own for the rest of them. I mean, I think we have to be reasonable and understand our, you know, sort of what our obligation is and what we're trying to do. But I'm a little bit concerned about replacing a grinder pump that was just replaced in 2021. I can see the other part of the infrastructure, but I don't, does that have to be done all at the same time?
I mean, we should. I mean, the wiring will be different when we upgrade the wiring. The control wiring will be different.
Okay. So we've decided to give it a little time. Matt's gonna talk with Hideaway Village. We gotta get some more conversations started. What's the plan here? What's your pleasure?
What's the timing of this project right now? I mean, I also get concerned about having projects. We need to think about the whole timeline and installation. And if you're gonna do this installation, you definitely wanna have it done before May 31st of the spring. We do not want installation in Hideaway Village to go into the summer. And that was key part of the RFP and the actually choosing Beta, because they kind of seem to understand that. When do we have to make a decision in order to be able to do the rest of the construction and get to bidding and get someone on board to be able to install.
And for ARPA funding, there's a deadline of having a contract in place by December 31st,
I thought so,
2024.
that's what I was just gonna say, the opera's the deadline we need to worry about.
So as long as we have a contract in place by that date, we have from now till then to sort out any details.
Yeah, what do we have to do to have a contract in place? Do we have
Just have to put it out to bid,
Yep.
and just have it reviewed and signed.
So how long does it take for the bid documents, once we make a decision?
These designs are close. You know, we could bid it in September, October. We had it on our schedule to be bid in October. We can also, and that was a 4-week bid opening, we can also shorten that period if need be.
All right, so we have time. Correct?
Not that much. I almost feel, I don't know, I would have liked to have Beta actually come in and explain the project to us. I think that might have been helpful, but, do you know when if we're doing pump stations 1, 2, and 3, that's what you're proposing, right?
Yes.
And not 4?
We'll do that as an add-all,
4 and 5 would be an add-all.
if we have the funding to do it, we'll move down to pump station.
And do we know when pump station 1, you said was 2021, right? Do we know when the other ones were?
I have a list,
Someplace.
but I don't,
Have it in,
I don't know how updated this is, so I want to
Okay.
update. This was an older list that I had.
when are we meeting again for sewer commissioners?
17th.
September, correct?
Yeah.
And that day I'm gonna have to have my vice chair take over, because I will be out of commission. Just so we know now in advance. But we can definitely get it on the agenda for then, so that we can get this resolved.
And I would like to have Representative Hideaway
Okay.
at our meeting. I would like to have the discussion with the Hideaway Board of Directors about what you're proposing. And I would like to have them, I think that, I think we need to finalize this on the 17th, you know.
And without Marlene here, has Marlene had conversations with them regarding any of this? Or does Matt just deal with them directly, or do they communicate with Marlene as well, I would imagine? correct?
We've been dealing with the maintenance, like the O&M people. I didn't want to go to them till we hadn't talked about it in a long time, so I didn't want to go to them until we had a conversation.
Okay, I think it would be good for, to meet with the Board of Hideaway about what's being discussed here, what the numbers are, and, you know, what we're proposing, so that they're aware of it and that they are in support of it.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'd like to know, for that meeting on the 17th, I mean, obviously, we already have permission to like work on their stuff, but just that they're in support of this work.
All right, enough conversation, yes, everybody's good for that for now? Because we have Hideaway Village Pump Station Hydrogen Sulfide Management.
So this is, I don't have I wanted to put this on the agenda. So this is the chemical feed system project we've been working on for the town-owned pump station that pumps all the flow from Hideaway Village directly to Wareham. And we get the high H2SO counts and the high orders. So once I have a couple of numbers I have to finalize, we're probably gonna next meeting ask for a capital project for the chemical feed. I'm thinking was gonna ask for free cash between $50,000 and $100,000, which will do upgrades to the chemical feed pumps, any upgrades to the building we need to do to make it safe, and there may be some possible control panel upgrades in order to make the chemical feed pumps work. And I also want to hold off because we need to finalize what our annual costs will be for chemicals before we move forward with anything. So I wanted to put this on the agenda and put this on your radar so you know the next meeting that'll be coming from us in regards to that.
You mean retained earnings?
Yes, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I
Okay.
apologize.
So,
All right, thanks for the update on that. Any questions?
was that for the fall or for the spring?
I'd like to put
Capital
it
outlay
through
for the fall?
I'd like to put it through fall if the timing works out,
So, when's the war close?
the 19th.
19.
Okay.
All right, Peter, anything? No, we all good? All right, already up to our FY 2025 sewer rates. I do have the letter and the memorandum in front of me, the recommendation, sewer rate recommendation from Matt. I don't know if you'd like to take over on that, Matt, or you'd like me to?
Sure, just
I'd be
one
happy to go over it, if not.
I'm fine going over it if you'd like, that's fine. So I worked with Erica for the first time this year to produce the recommended rate for the sewer enterprise fund. So based on votes at town meeting and estimates from our revenue for next year, we're proposing a $1,067 annual rate for the sewer users.
An increase from,
It's actually a decrease.
okay.
This year it is a decrease from, last year was $1,180, and this year it's $1,067.
But because we've been having problems with our infrastructure and preventive maintenance, I know we're talking, it is a savings, but should we be putting some extra money away in retained earnings to try to, so we can keep up with our preventive maintenance?
We need a budget for it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Hey,
So
fif-
the,
but, hey, I'll save. I don't mind paying a lower user rate. For once it's lower. So I know but I'm just thinking big picture.
Can I make a comment?
sure,
So,
go ahead.
one of the things that we did in our financial policy was to talk about what we have on the capital plan and what we need
Yeah.
for keeping in retained earnings. So, based on the financial policy, we decided to use $150,000 of retained earnings. One of the things that doesn't show on this is the sewer development charges.
Yep.
And when you go back and look at your
Yeah, the big
allocation sheet, there weren't a lot of sewer development charges we received in last fiscal year, but we just got another, I think it was like 134,000 that we got last year, so we're basically taking those sewer development charges and putting them to equalize the rates.
Yep.
And we're getting to the point, I think, where the rates are equalized.
Yeah.
And we talked about using those sewer development charges to reduce the rates. So, but if you look when sewer development fees coming,
Yeah.
right? That are due before, building permit, 56,000, 33,000, 105,000, 313,000,
Yeah.
38,000, 133,000. So I think a lot of the money for infrastructure
Will
is
come.
going to come from the sewer development fees.
charges.
So I think, that's kind of the way I've been looking at it, that's why we have the sewer development charges, and if we continue to get them,
Mhm.
Then
Then we can.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I appreciate the rates going down. Every little bit helps, because some years it may go back up. So I know as a ratepayer here, I'm appreciative of it. It's symbolic more than anything else, because there've been years ago it's been jumping and jumping up. So to have a reduction is appreciative.
All right, so.
I have a question on the overage.
Go ahead.
So the estimated overage fees are 255,000. have we been getting overage fees of less gallonage? Because we used 1.3 million as a pretty standard overage amount of gallons. And I was just curious, as the rates have gone up, because we've increased the overage fee over 4 years.
Yeah.
From 1 cent to, it's up to 2 cents now, right?
Yes. So I have the dollar figures. I can get the gallons for you. 1 second. I know the dollars in 2023 was 222,897.
Yeah,
that was
so
up
that
from
was,
2021.
that was 1,300,000 gallons times,
1.017.
1.75 cents.
Yes.
And so that's my question. Did we decide to say we're not gonna get 1.3 million overage? We're gonna only get 1,275,000 gallons of overage because people are using less water because we're charging them more? And that's a likely thing to happen.
This figure was just based on the dollars. I know that in the conversations we had.
So, do you understand my point?
Yes.
Like if your
If the
gallons are
gallons
on
go down,
1.3
yes.
and it's 2 cents a gallon, it's 260,000. It's not that big of a difference. I was just trying to understand if there was an underlying calculation that meant that we didn't increase it by 32,000, we only increased it by 27,000 because we think there's gonna be less overage.
I haven't run that figure, no.
Okay.
All right, very good. Sewer rate, 1,067.
So what's our deal on rating sewer rates if we only have 4 people you guys vote?
I know.
I'm going to abstain.
Right, and I'm on the sewer as well, so I can't vote either.
Well, it's other members present, so it's 2 in favor and 2 didn't vote at all, so you have a majority of 2-0, 2. If we have to revisit it, I'm sure someone will let us know if we have to revote it at the next meeting.
Yeah, so that rule about abstaining is like if there's a necessity or something.
A real
except by
necessity, but
necessity.
I'm gonna look up right now as I'm
Yeah.
sitting here. I'm gonna look for that email from Brian from a few years ago.
Make sure first.
When do the bills go out though, right?
September.
So we do have to do it because the meeting may.
Do you want to, what's the next item on the agenda?
Yeah, we can, let's move, we can,
Defer
The
for a
next-
second.
Well, I mean, I think if you guys are gonna abstain,
Yeah.
if you vote and abstain as opposed to vote and not, as opposed to not vote, then we'd have
Okay.
4 people, we'd have a majority of the board voting. You guys just abstain.
okay, so why don't we do that? I'll do roll call.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
You make
I'll
the
make a motion to have the annual sewer user fee for fiscal year 26 to be $1,067 per user.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
You don't
Let
have to
Jean,
abstain?
let Jean second.
Jean, second, okay. MJ makes the motion, we have a second from Jean. I'm gonna do, any further discussion? All right, I'm gonna do a roll call vote. Jean,
Yes.
MJ,
Yes.
Peter,
Abstain.
Melissa, abstain. We have 2, 2, 1 absent, 2, 2, 0, right. Okay,
202.
sorry, yeah, 2, 0, 2. You knew what I meant. The person who's recording knew what I meant there. Okay, so we're moving on. Wastewater treatment facility, quaternary ammonium spike.
So, as you're aware, right about the day the last time we met, we had another spike of quaternary ammonia at the system. This time we acted a little differently. We went business to business and spoke with everyone about their chemicals. Worked with the Board of Health to reduce that. And what we did was we never shut the plant down this time. So by doing that, we were out of compliance on a few testing numbers, but DEP was aware of it. And we were actually able to work through it as opposed to reseeding the plant. So right now, the plant is in compliance. We've bought some testing kits to test the quaternary pneumonia around the system on our own to keep track of it a little better. And this year, we're going to work with the Board of Health and do our fog inspections, and at the same time have them help us and make sure there's no chemicals we missed with the quaternary pneumonia in any of the businesses. And we're hoping that'll reduce the numbers enough so we don't have this again if we keep a closer eye on it. We are looking into chemicals that we may be able to add in an emergency if we found that our numbers were climbing, but we're going to try to avoid that and just work with the general public to reduce the quats and hopefully not have this happen again.
Awesome. Any questions?
Can I make a comment here? So I started reading this and thinking, oh, well, like, which products are good and which products are not good?
There's a lot of not good products.
And it's kind of interesting. And it's interesting, I mean, from a septic system, I think standard as well, because I think some of these are not great for your, for your septic system, your personal septic system either. And so reading those labels and finding, but it really seemed to end up being ammonia-based products, bleach-based products. Is there a volume? Like, if I put a little bit of bleach in with my laundry or something, I don't think that's going to throw off the plant, but.
It doesn't, but what I learned in this process is that quaternary pneumonia never breaks down, and it won't go through our membrane filters. So every little bit continually adds up until it adds up in the tanks prior to going through so it builds up, and it just keeps building and building and building, and eventually it takes out the beneficial bacteria. So when we were just kind of pumping through it, we were lowering the beneficial bacteria and kind of watering it down at the treatment plant by taking sludge out. So we just watered it down enough to rebuild our bacteria. So even though I understand people have asked if they can water it down, it's still best not to put it in, because eventually we still need to make sure that we're watering it down enough. We need to monitor the levels to make sure that we're keeping it at a low enough level.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion on that? All right, so we have made it to the DPW Director's Report. Thank you, Matt, for your time tonight.
On a separate note with the DPW report, following our groundwater discharge permit inspection, we did receive an NON from DEP for some items that weren't correct at the plant. We worked with Weston and Sampson and responded to them immediately and corrected all the issues within a month, which was the timeline. We sent the letter with our responses to DEP, and we haven't heard back since we finished that off. We are still having issues with the Taylor's Point pumps. What was discovered is that the pumps that were installed were not the correct pumps. The wattage and the voltage that's coming out of the control panel is not correct for the pumps. So we're currently looking with the installers and the engineers on the best way if they're going to need to replace the pumps or if they're just going to have to make upgrades to the control panels. So we're in that process now.
The letter from Mass DEP dated July 9th, 2024, still has the Bourne Board of Health contact as Terry Guarino, the former health agent. So, I mean, maybe someone can, as part of answering, can let them know that it's no longer her. Because if she's the only one watering this out, but if the Board of Health isn't getting any notification, then.
Right, yeah, that says they CC'd them, yes, correct, good catch, Peter. Let Marlene know to make sure, or whomever would be.
It did go to the right emails. I know
did,
that it did
okay.
on the
That's
email, but
good.
I'll make sure they change it on that.
I'm sure they have a monitor on that email too, so.
All right.
And one other I wanted to
Good,
touch
yeah.
base with my director, but we've been getting a lot of odor complaints this summer.
Yeah.
The plant has been working properly, and we are trying to see if there's anything we can do to limit it. We've the odor complaints seem to be when we're pumping sludge, which is going to be the most noxious time the odors are out there. They did that on a Saturday at one point. We did get a lot of complaints that day. We are trying to deal with it the best we can, but there's always going to be some odors that are coming out of that. And I've been working with Weston and Sampson, and they're not having any operational issues that would contribute to any odors.
Yeah, it happens. I know.
Try not to pump for sludge on the weekend when people are home.
It was an emergency. It was,
Yeah, it happens. Thank you so much. Anything else?
no.
All right, very good. Moving on. So we have minutes in our packet. Has everybody able to review the minutes? We have minutes from May 28th and the minutes of 6/25/2024 to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes of 5/28 and 6/25/2024.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion from Peter, second from MJ. Any further discussion? All right, I'm gonna do a roll call. All in favor, Jean,
Yes.
MJ,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melissa, yes. 4-0-0. Okay. Correspondence, I did not see any in the packet. Did I miss any? All right, no correspondence. Future agenda items, we did discuss having a conversation with Hideaway Village, talking more about that situation. And what was the other, that was it, right?
100 Main Street.
100 Main, thank you, with Peter Mackenzie to review his allocation, thank you.
And I did reach out to Ms. Hartsgrove about the vote, and it won't count as a 2-2 vote.
Well, it's not
So
two.
we didn't,
Oh,
No,
wow.
there's no negatives. We didn't
So
vote, it's not 2 against, it's 2.
It's the way she explains it's basically like it's not passing. It needs to
Okay.
be. It's like almost a refusing to vote is the way she
Well,
explained
that's
it.
what I thought, in a way, yeah.
I think we need a clarification of town council.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because if they had recused themselves and only 2 people voted, so it was 2-0-0, I would agree that we hadn't had a majority vote. But I think when it's 2-0-2, a majority of the board voted, and 2 were in favor over 0 opposed, so it should be fine.
Okay.
We didn't vote at all.
let's see, we can find
You
out.
voted abstained.
Yeah, we didn't vote at all. In our abstention, we didn't vote up or down. We abstained, so we didn't vote at all.
You're right.
Right, but
I mean, we removed ourselves from discussion. Well, from the,
no, recuse versus abstain.
I can, well, just talk to Brian. It wouldn't hurt to
Talk
talk
about it,
to
and if we have to
And if
take
we
it
have to
back,
revote it
we
at some
vote.
other meeting,
right.
we'll just revote it when we have 5 people, so we can do it.
All right, so any committee reports from anyone?
not to do it sewer
All
now.
right, hearing none, our next
Oh,
meeting.
actually,
Oh, go,
no, I won't say it.
okay,
And also, Madam Chair,
yes.
can we, I know this isn't a sewer-related issue, but maybe Matt can make an update on the construction that's gonna be going on Main Street tomorrow?
Yes. So we
With your
did.
permission.
Sure, go ahead.
We did put out a public notice that the project was going to begin and go Monday
Yeah.
through Wednesday.
Yeah.
The texture pavements being put down can't have any moisture, so they were very concerned about, there was a chance of rain today and a chance of rain yesterday. So they have moved the project to Wednesday and Thursday. We're not sure on Friday yet if we're gonna go Friday or Monday,
Yeah.
because traffic in that area is gonna be tough on a Friday, so we need to work with the contractor on that. We're gonna talk with them tomorrow. But so there'll be a right-hand turn-only detour coming out of Taylor's Point tomorrow. But on Thursday and whatever the following day is, traffic will be able to go either way. It'll just be restricted to which lane you're gonna use.
Okay.
So there's really only a detour for one day.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right,
Motion to adjourn.
yeah, next meeting, September 17th, 2024, and we have a motion to adjourn from Peter. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, second from Jean. Any further discussion? Nobody wants to stay tonight? Okay, moving on. Roll call vote. Jean,
Yes.
MJ,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melissa, yes. We're adjourned. Have a good evening. Thank you.